Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I'm going to be walking my happy butt over to the futon to check out the new Shudder exclusive, Baghead. This film is part of their halfway to Halloween celebration, and it tells the story of a young woman who inherits her father's pub. Sounds like a good thing, right? Nope. Unfortunately, there's a strange creature that lives in the basement of this pub, and this creature has the ability to talk to the dead and shapeshift. Only one problem. Of course, there are consequences to using this creature's powers, and if it gets out of this pub, well, let's just say there's, end of the world and shit like that. It's, a horror movie. What do you expect, right? A pub with a monster living in its basement? You think that if it gets out, that good things are gonna happen? Well, it's enough of me sitting here yammering because I gotta get over to the futon because it is time for me to check out Baghead. Just getting done checking out Baghead, and you know what, guys? It was okay. It was painfully average. This is one of those movies that just falls right there in the so it's a movie kind of category. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with the negatives, then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. The big problem with this film, honestly, is the pacing, because this movie just gets downright boring in the second act, which really should have been the most intriguing portion of the entire film, because that's when you learn the most about the creature living in the basement of the pub. But because the film doesn't really have a good organic flow to anything, it just seems like you're moving from this set to this set to this set, like everything's just a bunch of sketches put together, like a bunch of short films put together into one thing, hoping that each one of those becomes a movie at the very end. It just doesn't seem to flow very good. And then you just get bored and you start to wander, and then the second act of this movie did not do anything for me. The first act does a pretty good job. It starts to set things up, and you start to learn a little bit about what's going on and the behaviors of the creature and how it works. But then when you start to get into the lore and everything, the movie slows down to a snail's pace. Now, I do believe at the end of the film, it's said that this was based off of a short film, which makes a lot of sense because, honestly, it works better as a short film because there's just nothing here. The whole middle of it, the meat of the film, is boring. There's nothing going on. You're just sitting there waiting to be like, come on, please, can we just get to something that's exciting because I know what's going to happen at this point, and can we just please get there? But it takes a good 30 minutes. And then finally, when you're in the last 30 minutes of this film, it starts to get interesting again. Really, the only thing interesting about this movie is the creature that lives in the basement. And when you get away from that creature, there's just nothing to be had. So let's get into the positives, shall we? Alright, first off, the acting in this film, it's not terrible. There's not really a whole lot for anybody to work with in this movie, but they do a good job with what they have. Nothing to complain about there. The creature concept, I like the creature. The creature had a good look to it. It was frightening when you get to see the actual face of the monster, and I liked the movement, the person playing the character creature. Great job in that category. There are some okay, creepy moments. I wouldn't say necessarily scary moments. And what's unfortunate too is there's one scare in this film that I really liked, and then by the end of the movie, the scare doesn't make sense anymore. Like, you're just kind of like, okay, well, that was obviously thrown in there because they were going back and looking and going, we need some more scares in this movie. So let's throw one in, shall we? It just didn't fit once you got through with the entire movie. You learned the mythology, how the monster works and everything, but I digress. All in all, guys, I would say it's a perfectly acceptable streaming-only PG-13-ish horror film. I just don't feel like it delivers a whole heck of a lot for anybody who's a bit more into horror, a lot deeper into the genre. This just had a very bubblegum feel to it, very light. This was a horror film light. Let me put it to you that way. I think that if you do have someone in your household that's, around PG-13-ish acceptability of a film, this might be something that would intrigue them, but again, it's just not a lot there for somebody who might have a much deeper understanding of the genre of horror. Alright guys, well that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's another thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.